Alright, let's go to the chapter 2, ethics. Before we go detail, let's talk about a movie in 2016. The title was Deepwater Horizon. It was one of the recently I watched the movie in airplane. It's dealing with one of the biggest accident in oil spill in the United States history. In 2010, April 20, in the Gulf of Mexico, there was a huge oil spill happened. The 11 people were missing or never found. Yes, it was considered as the largest accidental marine oil spill in the history. Okay, so you can see the map on the right side. There is in between Florida and Texas. You can see the huge oil spill. If you saw this movie, I don't want to spoil the movie, but if you see the movie, you will realize ethical some decision, or if you make some decision that can cause very serious accidents, especially in this kind of very dangerous working places. You have to be follow any single steps coded by law, or you have to follow the protocol and everything. Make sure you have to be very meticulous to avoid these situations. Okay, so if you haven't had a chance to watch this movie, just see the movie. You will learn how the decision making is important in the engineering field. So today learning goal, we have 3 learning goals. First, know the importance of ethical decisions. Second, why we try to make an ethical decision. The last one, how to make an ethical decision. So know importance of ethical decision, why is it important, and how to make an ethical decision. Okay, 3 things. Urunamo code. This is the Urunamo code. You can see some word on the stones. I believe that it was, as far as I know, this is the earliest code. It was invented around the BC 2000s. So, for example, if you kill a man, then you will be killed. Okay, you must be killed. If a man committed a crime, robbery, he must be killed. Okay, this is strongest I've ever seen the code. So this is too harsh or too barbaric. This was around the 2000 years in BC. Okay, how about right now? How about these days? Oh, we are living in 2017, but still there are many corruptions happen, such as bribery. According to the Transparency International 2015, they reported Corruption Perception Index, shortly CPI scores. So let's look at the CPI score. Before we go to CPI score, which company do you think has the lowest CPI index? Well, some students think Sweden, Denmark, United States, New Zealand. It's possible. So let's look at the map. According to the Transparency International, they reported that if you see the very yellow, it's very clean in terms of corruption. Very dark red is have some serious issues in terms of corruption. So number one was Denmark. Denmark was ranked number 1 in terms of corruption rate. United States as a 16. How about South Korea? South Korea has a 40, and North Korea has a 149. Okay. So even though we are living in the United States, it's very welfare and great country, but you may face some unethical issues when you go to some companies. Okay, let's look at the very simple ethical issues such as methy. Okay, maybe you can see these images. You can see this situation in the market parking lot. What is this? This is a plagiarism, right? Plagiarism is ethically wrong, and this is very clear issues, clearly wrong issues. And the corruption, if you give some money to the clerk, and the clerk give you more than large amount of money than you expected, then what will you do? Okay. And during the exam, you can cheating, but cheating is absolutely wrong things. Some ethical issue can cause serious problems. So I guess most of you can drive a car. And when you drive a car, have you ever violated some traffic signals or a speed limit? I think most of you have some experiences. Let's watch this small video, short video. It happened in South Korea. Well, it's very awful, but this video is, I think this is the worst case I've ever seen in my life. The Remicon driver, he violated the traffic signals, and four people were dead at that spot. Okay, so sometimes it's very mild, and the result is not too big, but sometimes if you violate the traffic signals, it can cause serious problems. Okay? So sometimes your ethical decision can lead to undesirable consequences. So drive safe. Well, this is another example about ethical issue in the human subject experiment. Can you find the differences between two images, the left and right? As you can see, on the right image, there are blur on their faces, so we cannot recognize who it is. Okay? So during the human subject experiment, you have to protect the privacy of a human subject, and you must have an informed consent form before you start the experiment, because that's how we protect the participants. Okay, we must have to respect our participants. My research area is human factors. So human factors engineers, they do a lot of experiment with humans. Okay, we collect a lot of data from human subjects, such as driving posture and some motions, their biosignals. But we have to ask our participants first before we start experiment, whether they like it or not. Okay? So following question is why we have to make an ethical decision. There are two reasons. First, make the world a better place for everyone. Okay? And the second one is avoid unpleasant consequences, such as fines. You don't want to go jail, right? You don't want to lose your job. So that is the main issues. However, sometimes making ethical decision is not easy. Okay? Let me ask you something. Is this photo ethical? This photo shows that a 15-year-old girl was shot shot dead when she was stealing something from the stores when the earthquake happened. So this was taken by Paul. This is another photo taken by Carolus. But difference between two photos is, this dead body, her posture was changed, slightly changed, and the easier you can see the pictures. You can clearly see the flowers. We don't know who changed the posture, but we do know there are many photographs to take these photos. Okay, if a photographer changed her posture to, take a best photo, to express the moment, express the moment in these unpleasant circumstances, is it ethical? Probably not. Okay, there is a code of actions for photographers, and this act is absolutely violated the code of ethics rule. Okay, and another example is air pollution. In China, there are many factories, and most of developing countries, they do have a lot of factories to, growing economy. But the growing economy is good things, but there is always a trade-off between the money and the environment. So factory always making some products, but making air pollution at the same time. In China, without mask, it can't be breathed because of particle matter. PM2.5. PM stands for particulate matters. 2.5 microns or smaller. That means if you breathe this particulate matter, it can damage your throat. Okay. So this is a map shows how air pollution it is in China, South Korea, and Japan. You can see the bar at the bottom, PM 2.5 air pollution concentration. You can see that China, they have around 20 to 300 level, which is a very unhealthy level. But in Japan, it looks good. Korea, in between, like a moderate. Okay. Same example, oil refinery owner's decision. As you can see the picture, there are small children and there are air pollutions in the oil refinery business. Luckily, Corpus Christi is oil industry in Corpus Christi is great, doing well. They are doing a great job. That's how we can make the money. But U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, they released new air standards in 2015. So the factory, they must invest money to the facility in order to prevent air pollutions. Okay, because air pollution, it can damage to our earth, pollutant, benzene, such a dangerous particle. So company invest a lot of money, but at the same time, company have to let go many employees because they invest huge amount of money to the facility, so they must have to lay off some employees. So is this right or wrong? Is it ethically right or wrong? We can save a world, but we have to lay off some employees. It's kind of a dilemma. Okay. Then how to make an ethical decision? Some problems is very obvious. It's ethically right or wrong, but some issues are not clear to say yes, this is right or this is no wrong. So we have to know how to make an ethical decision if we face some dilemma. Okay, there are 4-step procedures. that can help guide us in determining the most ethical course of actions. Okay. There are 4 steps. First step is identify. Identify issues and the stakeholders. Issue is, what is the issue in this ethical decision-making moment, and who's gonna be affected if you make some decisions. The second step is analyze. In this analyze step, if you make some certain action, then what is the consequence according to your action, and what is your intentions, and what is character, what is your character will be affected, what your character affected. Okay. Third step is justify. So make a decision based on the identify and analyze. Fourth step is act with your decision. So here is another example. Copy your roommate's homework. When I was an undergraduate student, I took 6 or 7 courses per semester. So I really didn't have a time to do all the homework. It's really tough. We have to do the time management very well. But let's say if you don't have amount of time or much time to finish the homework, if you fail to submit the homework, then you're gonna lose some grade, or if you get some F. Okay, it's a serious issue. But there is your roommate. Your roommate already done, so you can cheating your roommate's homework. But is it ethically right or wrong? Obviously, it's ethically wrong, right? Let's look at this example using 4-step decision-making process. Okay. So first, we need to identify issues. What is the issues in this case? Issue is copying homework, and personal honesty is issues here. Who's gonna be affected? Yourself and your roommates. That's it, right? So we identify the issue and the stakeholders in this ethical moment, okay, decision moment. So this is a kind of what is going to be affected, who is going to be affected. Okay. The second step is kind of how it going to affect consequences. If you do this way, what is the consequences? If you decide, okay, I'm gonna cheating my roommate's homework, then what is consequences? Your morality will be badly affected. You may lose your roommate. Okay? And sometimes you have to look at carefully the magnitude of the consequences, the expected level of harm or benefit will occur. And the most important question you may have to ask yourself is that, does this action increase or decrease the happiness of the affected individuals? If your action can increase happiness of all people, then that is the right action. Okay? The right action means greatest good for the most of people. In the analysis step, you have to think about intention or motivations. So, do you think everyone should act this way? And another question is, do I believe that this sort of behavior should be codified by law? No. Cheating is cheating. Okay. How about the character? So, which kind of person you want to be? You want to be a person who cheating your roommate's homework? And if you have some religion, you admire a person like God, okay, Buddha. So you want to be the honest person, and Jesus and Buddha, they will never copy his roommate's homework. Okay. Step 3 is convergence. As I said, is justify your decisions. Okay. Based on the analysis, you have 3 results: consequences, your intention, and your character, how it's gonna be affected. Justify. You can say yes if the 3 results converged into the same way. You can say highly yes with a confidence. Okay, I will not copy my roommate's homework. In terms of consequences, intention, and character, there is nothing good for me. So, yes. How about no? It's a little tricky. Not just cheating the homework case. If you face some, let's go back to the oil refinery owners' decisions. Okay, if you can invest a lot of money to prevent air pollutions, but you have to let go some of the employees. Okay, so in that case, you have to think about the weight. Okay, consequences, intention, character. You have to think about some weight, which portion is important in this circumstance. And the rule of thumb is if 2 of 3 is converged, then you can say yes, you act on that way. Okay? The last step is act your decisions. So when you do the act, you need courage. Okay? Do you have enough courage to do the act? Make a decision, act. Although, I'm not going to get a great score, or even if I got fail, but I'm not going to cheating my roommate's homework because it's ethically wrong. Like I said, after you graduate and you enter the company, in your working place, you may face a lot of ethical decision-making situations because there is a lot of conflict of interest, confidentiality issues, contract law issues. Okay, but don't worry. If you face some issues, you can apply this 4-step ethical decision-making procedure, and so you can have some overview about the ethical issues you may face. And it doesn't hurt to find your supervisor or manager and ask their opinion before you act. Okay? You should ask your supervisor before you act. Today we learned the importance of ethical decision. And second, why we try to make an ethical decision. And third one is how to make our ethical decisions. Thank you for watching this short video. And see you this Wednesday.